In this video, we're going to talk about biological classification. Another word for this is taxonomy. Very different from taxidermy. So taxonomy is another word for biological classification. And there are several levels that we're going to be talking about. I'm going to go from the most general to the most specific. So I will write general at the top of my arrow here and specific at the bottom. So as we go down the list, we're getting more specific. At the top of our hierarchy are domains. We have 3 domains: archaea, bacteria, and eukarya. And we're going to go into more depth about these domains later. After domains, we have kingdoms. The first 2 kingdoms can get the most confusing because it is archaebacteria and then eubacteria. So those can get confusing, and we'll talk through those later. The 4 kingdoms of the Eukarya domain that make up the rest of the 6 kingdoms in our system are ones that you are more likely to be familiar with. For these, we have the kingdom Protista, Plantae, fungi, and many people's favorites, Animalia. So we have 3 domains that we're working with. In those 3 domains, we have 6 different kingdoms. In Eukarya, our kingdoms are Protista, Plantae, fungi, and Animalia. But we can still break this down further. As you can see, there's a lot of this arrow left to go down. So after domain, you have your kingdom, then you have your phylum. The plural of phylum is phyla, and for animals, in the kingdom Animalia, we have 35 different animal phyla. So as we get more specific, we're breaking our organisms up into more groups. We start with 3, we go to 6, and then we go to hundreds, 35 of which being from the kingdom Animalia. After phylum, we can further classify the organism we're looking at with a class, and then an order, then a family, and then what some people will argue will be the 2 most important, we have the genus, and last but not least, the most specific, species. Species are our basic unit of classification. That's as small as we can get. So we can't break down our species into more specific groups. Once you get to species, you're good to go. Scientific names use both the genus and the species. Fancy science word for scientific naming is binomial nomenclature. And this looks complex, but bi is 2, nome is the root of name, so 2 names. So we're going to use the genus and the species. And the way that this is formatted is that the whole thing's going to be in italics. You start with the genus and you capitalize it. I'm not good at writing in italics, I bet you guys are better. We have the genus, and then still in italics, you'll put the species name after that. So for scientific naming, it's all in italics, and you have capitalized genus, and then your species. So if we wanted to find the binomial nomenclature for our own species, we would start with the genus, which for humans, our genus is Homo. And then species for humans is sapiens. So Homo sapiens, that's us. I know a lot of you have pets at home, so let's go through scientific naming for some of the most common pets, cats and dogs. Let's start with dogs first, because dogs are better just saying. So the genus for the dog is Canis, and the species is Familiaris. So there's our binomial nomenclature for dogs. And then for cats, they're a little bit easier. Felis is the genus. You can kind of imagine that that is short for feline. And then the species, so that we get our domestic house cat and not a wild cat, the species is Catus. And that is your